I'm Liam.
Steven Guerrero.
Steve Hyatt.
Joey Kramer.
Evan.
I'm Steven Manwaring.
Bruce Goldick.
And I play piano.
Percussion and drums.
Guitar. Drums.
Guitar.
Violin.
What inspired me to take this class was to expand my musical
Horizons. When I first heard of this class, I knew I had to sign up for it.
We played a Cuban piece at the end of last year and I really liked it.
I really wanted to, push myself musically.
Try out a different type of genre and see what challenges I can take.
I really want to immerse myself in the music and learn more about the culture.
One thing I've really enjoyed learning about is all the different genres of Cuban music.
Playing the guiro, it's like so much fun to play.
I can't even begin to explain how excited I am to be teaching this class. So, we came up with the idea of this vlog, so I really encourage all of you out there to follow our progression throughout the terms.
So we're about to demonstrate a Pogonco.
When I look back at this past year, it really amazes me how far we've come as an entire group. I can think back to a time when we had trouble playing rumba, which is this style of Cuban music, and throughout the course of the year we just slowly become better and better and better at it, and by the time the end of the year came, we were really good at playing this.
Each of us had our own little part, and we would practice it, and then we placed it together, and it sounded really cool.
On the B section, I'm going to be playing the melody, and they want it to be like really full and really big. This is like...
Another thing is like a challenge was probably getting the slap on the tumbao pattern that I've been playing. I've been getting first 2 weeks I got bruises and it kind of hurt, but it pays off. Awesome. So that's the pattern.
Okay, so the Jazz Cafe is this Thursday. I'm currently working on the melody for Chucho. I found that a good way to practice that is to play along with the music.
Hi, my name is Abe and I'm a senior.
And I'm Murray and I'm a junior.
And we're the captains of Boys Varsity Jazz Band. And we have a game tomorrow at 7 in the Black Box.
Yeah, it's our last game of the year and we'd really appreciate it if we could have you all come out and support.
Also, just a heads up, we have an away game in Havana in March, and it's on a Saturday, so we don't really expect you all to come because it's school. But if you could wish us luck when you see us in the hallways, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking to administration about getting a fan raft together as well to, take you guys down to Cuba. It'd be really fun.
As we were leaving the airport to go to Cuba, we honestly had no idea what to expect. I mean, it's one thing learning about the culture for 2 terms in a classroom environment, but it's a completely different thing when you actually go there and you actually experience that culture for yourself. We spent the first couple days touring the city of Havana, and it's a beautiful city. There's just so much to see and so much to do. But at the same time, we were overwhelmed by a lot of the stuff that we saw there.
The architecture is very unique and very old, and in some cases slightly decrepit, but they're in the process of redoing a lot of it.
Ever since the collapse of the Soviet Union in the early 90s, Cuba's been in crisis mode. And one thing that I find amazing is the amount of effort that's going into rebuilding the entire city and renovating it and making it a lot nicer. When we first got there, the street that our hotel was on was this complete dirt path, rocks strewn everywhere. By the time we left, it was a beautiful cobblestone street. They're doing a lot of things to help the population. Their healthcare system, their food system, their housing system, completely free education. But at the same time, they're one of the most repressive governments in the world. And to be a true world citizen when you're in Cuba, you have to look at the good and the bad, and you have to realize that the government's there to try to help the people, and you can really see how this affects the people, both good and bad.
The clearest example of it being a communist country was the ration meals, and how they were prepaid and kind of government sanctioned for us before we even came to the country, and how portions were limited and drinks were limited, and if you wanted an extra drink you had to pay more.
Food here, it's interesting. It's chicken, fish, or pork at pretty much every meal. We've had some pretty good meals. I think the best meals we've had so far have been the ones that have been not like the state-sponsored tourist meals. Like eating at Mr. Muniz's house, that food was really good, and eating at the Paladar was pretty awesome also.
One recurring theme for the trip was just to expect the unexpected and just roll with the punches. We went to La Callejón de Jamel to see a rumba band.
On Sundays we have rumba in the street, but not today because showers, but life is cruel but interesting. We keep going. Salvador.
But the rumba was cancelled because of the recent passing of the late Venezuelan president Hugo Chavez, and the entire country was in mourning. And so we got there and it's like, there's no rumba? It really did show how unexpected the country can be at times.
So the visit to the senior center was very interesting. I actually kind of went in with the preconceived notion that it was going to be just like an American retirement home or senior center. So weird smells, tacky paintings on the wall, and kind of a stuffy atmosphere overall. But it was completely different. It was beautiful. The building was incredible. It was open air. All the elderly seemed very happy and just kind of dedicated to their lives. And the thing that struck me the most is when Liam went to take his solo and he played the fragment from Cuando Vuelva a tu lado. They really responded to it, and that was pretty incredible to see.
I guess it was Buena Vista Social Club, or all of the living members, and playing with Mr. Muniz. I thought that was pretty awesome.
One thing that I found really interesting was that the Buena Vista Social Club is no longer a band, it's a brand. You have dozens of Buena Vista Social Clubs scattered throughout Cuba, so it's no longer the one Buena Vista Social Club that everyone knows. It's now a bunch of these different groups that operate under the same title. One of the days in Cuba was our more touristy day. The stuff that the government put in to really try to give us a positive impression of Cuba. We went through the Vinales Valley. We went to a tobacco farm, saw how Cuban cigars were made, and then we went for lunch at this place in a valley. You have to walk through a cave or something. And one thing that we realized, in the Cuban government's eyes, we were there as tourists. We were there on a tourist visa. This was what the government assumed we were there to do. Although we are musicians, dancing is a really important part of Afro-Cuban music. We had taken some salsa dancing lessons back in the States, but a really cool experience was to be able to go down to Cuba and actually have another salsa dancing lesson from a professional Cuban salsa dancer.
Do you feel like your dance moves have improved since you've been in Cuba?
I feel like I've improved Cuba's dance moves.
Now
answer, but it was
The music school was really awesome. I had a really great time with that. The kids there seem to get really into everything we were playing, and they're also phenomenal musicians. Like, I've never seen kids that good at our age.
I went in expecting them to be incredible in just Cuban music, but what we saw was they were actually all classically trained, and for me, as a classically trained violinist, I could relate to a lot of the things that they were doing.
I had a great conversation with the drummer there, and I didn't speak very good Spanish, and he didn't speak very good English, so it was a little tough, but because we obviously had so much love for the drums, it was easy to still speak because we could communicate about things that are universal when it comes to drumming.
one memory that I can choose that I thought was the real stock of the soup or the heart of the whole trip, I have to say, is when we visited the music school called ENA, and our students got to interact with Cuban students that were their age and that were all musicians, and they got to communicate through music. There was this one magical point, and this is the segment that you're about to watch. When we were performing for the Cuban students, the Cuban students reacted to the music. They were really excited about it, and then little by little they started joining us on stage. And you will see how then it develops into this massive jam session that turned out to be exhilarating at so many levels. So it really truly was just the heart of the whole trip. And that day I said, this is why we made it. A year after our class started, and I have to say that bringing my students to Cuba was a dream come true. I really was so proud of them at so many levels, musically, personally, but the most important thing is that real cross-cultural connections were made, and I feel like every single one of them, and in fact I know that every single one of them came back with a very different set of ideas of what Cuba culture is and what their own ideas about the world is. when the magic happened. And this is exactly what I was looking for as a teacher. I wanted my students to see the connections between improvisation and Cuban music and jazz. A lot of the students, a lot of the Cuban students as well as our students, were all using a common language which was really based in jazz. Jazz, one of the main components of jazz is being able to improvise, meaning instantly compose on the fly, following the chord changes, following the harmony. And everyone in this room, even though the Cuban kids couldn't speak English or most of our students couldn't really speak Spanish, we were all talking, we were all playing.
As I look back at the footage as I was editing the video, one thing that really stood out to me was how the energy level really shot up in this song when the students joined us. And I could tell the energy shot up because the audio kind of got distorted. There was something really cool happening. We had Liam playing the piano, but their piano player came and sat in and started playing very different patterns that were really funky and really interesting. And I thought it was just such a magical moment because you could see how he was interpreting the same type of riff, you know? So that was really, really cool. When we switched pianos again, I really liked the stuff he had been playing, and I was really inspired by it. So I tried to take some of the ideas he had and incorporate it into my own pattern I was playing. And so basically within those 10 minutes, my piano pattern had evolved because of what he had been playing.
for me as an educator, this experience was truly one of the most magical things I've ever done, because I was able to teach these students to make not only musical connections but cultural connections, and really see the value of discipline, of practice. One thing that was, I think, a kind of like a rude awakening for my students was to see how these students had relatively little resources. You know, their instruments were not the best quality, their classrooms were not in such good shape compared to our classroom here, yet their musicianship was really exceptional, and you could see how dedicated they are to their craft. So that was also another thing that I thought was fantastic, to have my students witness the commitment and the passion and the love and the energy that the Cuban students have for music.